Hello, in today's video I'm going to show you how to fix a dropped stitch in lace knitting. So I was knitting a swatch last week, and when I went to block it I realized that I had dropped a stitch, don't know how, and several rows had unraveled. And I thought it might be useful to show you how I would fix it. As this was on a swatch, it didn't matter too much, but if that happened on an actual garment, it's quite useful to be able to fix it. So in this video I'm going to show you how I fixed that little mistake I made. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns, I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website yarnaddict.co.uk. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I hope you enjoyed today's video. So yesterday I knitted this swatch, and last night before I went to bed I was blocking it, and as I was blocking it I noticed this. I don't know what happened. I don't think I dropped a stitch because it carries on as normal from here. So I'm wondering whether I just knitted into like one of the plies or one of the tiny little strands the yarn is made up of, but it doesn't look like it. When I look at that stitch that's left, it doesn't look like I have, although I guess I may have done that on a stitch higher up and then it's unraveled. Anyway, something happened and this whole thing unraveled. When I noticed it last night, I just needed to block this swatch for a design submission. So I blocked it and I didn't care about this. I mean, I took the picture of it, I actually cut it here. But then I thought maybe I should try and fix it and film it so I can show you how to fix it. So what I did this morning, I put a stitch marker on that stitch to secure it so it can't unravel any further. And what you need to fix this is a crochet hook, which I may or may not use, but it's probably useful, a sewing needle, some scissors, some knitting needles, the ones I knitted the actual swatch with, some spare yarn, and my stitch pattern, which is in my notebook because I haven't typed it up yet. So let's see if we can work out how to fix this mistake. So I need to work out where I am in the stitch pattern and what I need to do next. Now the stitch pattern has a SK2PO. Let me just try and zoom in a bit. Okay, so I've zoomed in a bit more. I do apologize for my nails. I hadn't planned to film today and they need doing, but I thought as I was in this situation I would film it. So the stitch pattern has an SK2PO here, which I've done. So that was the SK2PO where my thumb is there. And the next row is just a knit row. Well, on the wrong side row is a purl row. So as I'm on the right side row, it's a knit stitch. So if I put my crochet hook in to that stitch, if you imagine the stitch as an open archway and you just put your crochet hook straight in, and if you keep the hook of the crochet hook pointing upwards, I can go under. So you need to find this next strand, which is this one here. So if I go under that strand, and then I can pull that stitch through, or pull that strand through the stitch. So that is the stitch above the wrong side, above the SK2PO. Then I have 4 more rows of stocking stitch, so I can do this 4 more times. So that's the knit row, that's for the purl row, because obviously I'm doing this all on the knit side, so then it will be knit stitches. 3, 4. Okay, so that's the easy bit. Now I come into where the next stitch pattern is. Actually, no, I don't. Let me just look. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 4. No, I can do 2 more. 6 stitches. So 1, 2. Okay. And then now it becomes a bit tricky because now this is the middle stitch and then there's a yarn over either side of it. So can you see I've got this big hole here? So I think if I still go through that stitch, if I pull that one through, oh yeah, that's working. And then I can see either side of this, I have the yarn over there, and that yarn over is still intact. And then there's a strand here. So I'm going to pull that one through as well. And so there's a yarn over, and then there's a SK2P, which SK2PO, which is here. So I think I need to go into that stitch. Apologies if you can hear my dog barking. Okay, let's see if that works. So now I think that has almost fixed it. It doesn't look quite right here. There's like a strand there and a strand there. So let me just go back again and see if we can fix that. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Do that. No, I've still got this. So if I compare it to the stitch pattern next to it, it should be like 3 yarn overs with that SK2PO in the middle. So this is where I am now. And this is going to be the most difficult bit to fix, I think. I can't see any other way of doing it than that. Okay, let's try and see what that looks like. So now I'm going to cut off a short strand of yarn. I'm going to go in through that stitch. Now, depending on the sewing needle you have, I have one of these. Can you see that? Bit like a big loop. So I can get both strands through that loop at the same time. You may not be able to if you have like a regular sewing needle. So I'm going to take those through there, and then I'm going to find the base of the stitch, and I'm going to go through the base of the stitch to the back. And then I will weave those in a minute. But this is my chance to check how it looks and whether I have fixed it properly or not. And if we compare it to this one, so these two are correct. This one is the one that I've tried to fix. So it doesn't look perfect. Definitely doesn't look perfect. Depending on what you're knitting. I mean, this is going to be the case whatever you're knitting. You need to, when you fix mistakes, you need to try and fix it to the best of your ability, and then look and see if you're happy with it. And it won't always look as perfect as if you hadn't made the mistake. And whether you're happy with it or not depends on a few things. It depends on what this is. So if this is a shawl, for example, that's going to be worn like a bit scrunched up around your neck maybe, then that probably won't be seen, or it'll be less visible. If it's a shawl that's going to be worn like draped over your shoulders, like flat, then that's more likely to be seen. Also depends on where it is. If it's on a sweater and it's like at the center front or center back, people are more likely to see it. If it's around the side, maybe like and your armhole or something, then it's less likely to be seen. So it depends on where it is and what it is you're knitting. And also you have to remember that what we can see as knitters, and we know where the mistake is, other people don't always see that well. So if I showed this to somebody who was not a knitter, they probably wouldn't even know there was anything different with this one. I can see this, it jumps out at me, but other knitters may not see it. So it depends on what it is. If I was using this for a magazine design, say this was a sweater and it would be photographed and put in a magazine, then I would not want anything that would be visible on in the photos. So if this was kind of around to the side or at the back or somewhere a bit hidden, I would leave it. If it was like in the front and very obvious on photos, I would want to fix it. Also depends on how far you've got. I mean, this is just a swatch, so that mistake doesn't really matter. If I had finished knitting a garment or a shawl or anything like that, and this was like quite far back and it would mean me unraveling a lot to fix it, then I would probably fudge it like this. I'm going to try one more thing before I decide whether I'm happy with this or not, and that is, let me see if I can get this through to the other side again without unraveling it. Okay. I'm just wondering if I put this yarn through somewhere else. So let me see if I can get this back through to the front again. Okay. if I put it through there, that actually looks a bit better, I think. So I'm going to weave in the end now. Well, I'm not actually going to weave in the end because this is just a swatch and it will probably go in the bin. But I've decided that I'm happy enough with that. It looks a lot better than when I started fixing it. And for what the purpose of this is, I'm happy with that. If this was on a sweater, I would be happy with this, as long as it wasn't anywhere that you would be shown, you know, you would show a great deal. I think I'm happy with that. And the yarn over either side here at the top is also a bit smaller than it is here. But if this was a actual garment or something, if I block this again, it will smooth it out enough, a little bit more, and I think this would look good enough for me to be happy with it. It's not perfect. I was hoping it would end up looking like that, but it doesn't. I could probably spend more time on it, fiddling with it and try and make it look more like that, but I'm not going to, because for me, I'm happy with that, depending on where it was on a garment or shawl or whatever it is I'm knitting. But I just want to show you a little bit of how you can fix a mistake, because sometimes unpicking is not an option. It may be too far back, or you may be worried that you're going to muck up the whole item if you unpick. So I just want to show you that it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake. Obviously, different mistakes are different. Some mistakes are easier to fix than others. And this is the problem I find when I'm asked about teaching classes on fixing mistakes, because fixing mistakes, I could show you how to fix like 10 mistakes and you may never make any of those mistakes. It's like fixing mistakes is like a never-ending list of possibilities. So when you make a mistake, especially if it's on the swatch, just try and fix it, see if you're happy with it. And what I'm happy with, somebody else may not be happy with. But I've decided I'm happy with this. And if that was on the sweater and it wasn't somewhere that was going to be very obvious, I would probably still be happy with it. And I guarantee you that people who are not knitters would probably not spot it, and even people who are knitters quite often wouldn't spot it. Quite often things that we see, other people's don't. So it just all depends on how much of a perfectionist you are, I guess, and what you're willing to put up with. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them below and I will do my best to answer. I also have some other videos on fixing mistakes. I'll link some of those below this video as well. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time.